it's nice though. That's why I always use like lame, simple beats just as placeholders, So it's gonna be nice to hear that. What's up, Mark? How you
Hey,
doing,
man.
Mark?
Hey, I have had a rough few weeks.
Yeah,
I won't deny that.
What are you doing? Are you sick?
Yeah, this is day 12 of a upper respiratory infection.
Oh man, those
Damn.
suck.
And then last week on Friday, went Thursday to Friday, and then Wednesday to Thursday, I had 2 bouts of kidney stones.
Ah, so you got the
Yeah.
goop and the plug. No fun, man.
No,
Plug and
man.
goop.
I just feel beat up,
Yeah, I can imagine.
really beat up. And
I can imagine.
what is it that you do in Volcana, Glenn?
Drumming and some bass tracks too.
Okay,
He does all the
so
bass
you're the
tracks.
important.
Don't
you're
be
the
shy.
important stuff.
He does all the bass tracks.
The
It's
drummer
cool.
is the most important member of the
This
band.
is this is why,
Thanks.
and honestly, this is why I keep it. I like it this way, because like Glenn writes the drums, and he writes the bass, and those two things go hand in hand.
Mhm.
So that's a cool, unique perspective. What's up? What's up, Chop?
Hey, not much,
Choppy.
Vic. How you doing? Hey, so he's the talented one of the band, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's two-thirds of talent in the band. It's Jeff and Glenn.
That's we already knew that. So
And then they almost called it hanger. They almost called it hanger on. But no.
Hey, Glenn, it's nice to meet you.
Yo, you too, man.
So from what Vic was saying, this will be your first band interview.
It's
Yeah,
Volcana, yeah.
Yeah.
We've never done an interview. I've
Nice.
talked to a few people, on my loan, but I mean, I do that with Vindicator too. It's like nobody's, I gotta play some video games or something. It's like, no, but people like whole band interviews. So
Yeah.
this is easier on me, as I don't have to talk as much.
And that's a hard thing to come by. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm a long-winded guy, man. Like I will talk, but it's nice
That's
to
for
have
damn
have that balance, man. Like I can just sit back and I'll probably just take a nap. You guys won't
Good.
even know.
That might be the best interview we've ever had, to be honest.
yeah.
Jeff said he'd be right here. So sorry, I
Okay,
didn't cut
cool.
you off. So
No, that's good,
he's
man.
on his way.
Now, if you just did that with the rest of the shows and took a nap,
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
stellar right now.
Yeah, we'd have
Like
something
I'm just
to
gonna make a cutout of myself and
Glenn, just let me introduce myself. I am the hate hole they lovingly refer me to. So I'm a real smart ass, and I come, so,
Good.
yeah. See.
Yes.
not at all like me.
No. Yeah. Polar opposites.
Short
Yeah,
and sweet.
right.
Not all that fucking long wind.
Yeah.
So you just got back from vacation, Vic? Did you?
No, it was a wedding. So I
okay.
mean,
I'm sorry.
destination wedding. So
Yeah.
we tried to squeeze in as much shit as we could. So
Where was the
But,
destination?
Tennessee. It was in Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg
Oh,
area.
yeah, nice.
Beautiful area. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it there.
I hate Tennessee drivers. They're just gonna put that out there right now, man. Like those
Mhm.
people like to drive in the middle of the road on mountain roads where there's no guardrails, and so
Did
accidents.
you go through
Those are a
Kentucky
real
and Tennessee, or did you
Yeah,
go through
right.
Okay.
71 south.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. Had I known, I
Dude.
would have. I might have had. Well, you were a little far out of the way out of Galax, Virginia. That's a little too far away for you.
What's in there?
Oh, there's a good store that sells cannabis seeds, but I don't think they mail them out.
Oh, probably not, because it's illegal to cross state lines
Yeah,
and stuff. So.
I got a cousin who lives in Galax, so next time he comes up, I said, "Look, bring me some seeds, dude."
Yeah, right.
Now you can own seeds in Ohio, you just can't plant them.
Eh,
That's the loophole.
just don't show nobody.
Just like you can buy fireworks, but you just can't let them off.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
can't
owning
shoot 'em.
toilet paper, but you can't use it. It just makes no fucking sense.
Yeah.
You can buy the Charmin, can't wipe your ass with it though.
You can wipe someone else's ass. Just
Me and
not
Vic
yours.
would be in big trouble with that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. No, man, I'm a wet wipe guy. Like I don't fuck around with that dry shit, man.
Yeah.
My butthole is not a. See, like I'm a multi wiper. That's the kind of shit I have. So it's like, dude, I can't. You use half a roll, your asshole's on fire, and it the next shit feels like hot lava coming out because your butthole's all red. And now I gotta have a wet wipe, man. Nice and just it's like a shower for your butthole.
You can do a dry, then a wet, then a dry.
Yeah, well, that's what I do. I kind of mop up, kind of clean up, and then the deep cleansing comes with the wet wipe. You got to do the deep cleanse.
How do you buy ones that don't break? Are they strong? I mean,
Well, they're good now, but I still don't know if they're like septic safe. It
you got to
says
do
they
double
are,
ply. No,
but-
I mean like just going in and like not breakage through the using your digits.
I'm a master wiper, man. Like
I'm just
I've
gonna
been-
buy a bidet. You know those Japanese
Yeah.
toilets. It's
I've
just
thought
sprays.
about it. Honestly, I've
Yeah.
thought about
Yeah,
it.
and that way, save the trees. Just squirt
Yeah.
warm water up my ass. I'll be
They're
there.
on
all day.
Amazon.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can. I mean, they're super
Oh,
easy. Just strap them onto the side of the toilet now.
Yeah. Well, you gotta run it through the
Seriously.
warm water. I don't want the cold water. Nothing. You don't want that. That's
Ooh,
that's
no,
that's
that
the
might
worst.
be all right. That
no,
might be
no,
kind of
no,
nice.
that'll wake you up in the morning. But you
Yeah,
don't.
that's what I'm saying. That's when I take my shit.
No, man.
What's up, Jeff?
Up,
Oh,
dudes?
Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, how's it going?
You
Going
came in
well.
on a shit conversation. Glad to get
Yeah,
out
You
of
know,
that
literally.
one.
that's
Oh,
going to be the
cool.
beginning of the show. You know that, Vic. I mean, anytime you start
Yeah.
talking about shitting, that's
Yeah,
that's the bumper. That's the show, man. So, Jeff, what is it? What do you do in the Volcana?
I play guitar, the lead guitar stuff, and basically anything Vic doesn't cover.
So pretty much everything.
Yeah,
Then okay.
basically he sends me
He
click
does.
tracks
So
and
between
says,
you
like,
and Glenn,
please-
you really don't even need Vic at all.
Yeah.
He sends me click tracks. I
just-
like this one. I
By
like this
click tracks, he's
120.
like going.
yeah,
Vic,
play the fast
Vic,
part
you already
here.
mentioned it. Vic, you already mentioned it's 2/3 of the talent is already here. So
It
why
is.
are
It
you
is.
even on the
See,
show?
now you guys know all I'm responsible for is writing the click tracks.
Yeah, he just writes click, click, click.
Yeah.
And you pay for the cover art.
Hey, man, somebody's got to do it. It's one of the most important roles in the band. Click
Okay,
tracks.
Yeah, well, that's cool, man. I'm glad someone's
Yeah.
got to.
This is Phil.
This is Sam.
And this is Kirk. We're Exit Out, and you're watching Heavy Metal Horror.
I'm Montag, Mass Revolution. What goes up must come down, but not always.
Hey, I'm chopped up. This one's gonna be volcanic, so stay heavy.
Yeah, that's a good. I'm not doing one today because I'm technically a guest. So.
Yeah, you're a guest. And you are watching and listening to Heavy Metal. Oh, yes. Tonight, kiddies, we got another first. That's right. Now, you may recognize Vic Wildcard Stone from previous shows. If you don't recognize him, that's easy to understand. He kind of blends in. But apparently he was in a band once. And this band, it's called Volcana. And tonight, we're going to talk with the guys of Volcana, the two very talented members of Volcana, and the guy who does the rest of the stuff. So, guys, Glenn and Jeff and Vic, welcome to Heavy Metal Horror.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank
Glad to be
you.
here.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. This is fun. I have to say, I've listened to Vic's music. I'm a fan. I mean, we bust his balls because we love him. I like Vindicator and all, but I love Volcana. It is way more in my wheelhouse than the thrash of Vindicator, as good as it is. So I'm actually really excited because I'm a fan of the music. I really dig it.
Cool.
All right, we're gonna start with some background questions, and we know so much about Vic. So, Glenn and Jeff. I mean, Vic, you're welcome, of course, to chime in.
Yeah, no
But
worries.
I included questions just for you
Oh, thanks.
because I know you like. Vic loves to talk about this stuff.
Does
So I'm
like
gonna
to
throw it
talk.
in there and say, Vic's gonna want to jump in this one. But Glenn and Jeff, let's talk about you guys. And when did you first get into music?
Should I start?
Yeah,
Go
sure.
for it.
I started, oh my gosh, when I was probably like 4. I got into drums just from watching, my dad would always have like classic rock stuff on TV, and I just remember like it was like Beatles Hard Day's Night. They would always like take like close shots of like Ringo's hands playing, and for some reason I just remember like this one close shot of like a pretty fast fill, like fast for me being like young. Just remember seeing like the sticks hitting the drum, and I just was like, I want to try that. I don't know what that is. And then of course you do like the regular stuff like Tinker Toys and like pots and pans. And then I took lessons for a while, and then I kind of just like stopped playing for a while. And then my sister's friend showed me like early Metallica out of complete nowhere. And before that, I was just listening to like only the stuff that was on in my house, which was like my mother's more into like, you know, like reggae and like Grateful Dead. And then I was just honestly, I was such a weird kid. I was just listening to like fucking soundtracks. I would
Yes.
just like I would just like movies, and then I would get the soundtracks, and I would like because a lot of like popular stuff is on those soundtracks. So you like
Right.
I remember listening to like the 1998 Godzilla soundtrack,
Yeah.
and
Rich
it
Shelton's
yes,
on that.
yeah,
Emerson.
Yeah, dude.
and it has
Oh no,
I mean,
that's Final Wars. Sorry, man.
it's so weird because like they have that version of like Cashmere with Puff Daddy,
Yes.
Mhm.
and I
Damn
remember
these hoes, they stepping on my toes.
and like dude, what's so weird is that like fucking Page and what's his name?
Plant?
John Paul Jones.
Oh.
Yeah. They were all into it.
Hmm.
Like they
Yeah, I
played with
remember
him
hearing
on it.
that. Yeah.
Because
I-
they got
Right,
this.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
And they were
Oh.
gonna get like 1 million
Oh.
downloads from this, and like, oh look, we made $1 million this weekend. What do we do? Nothing.
Yeah.
Some guy named PD did something for us.
Yeah. So that's the thing. I was remember like just listening to like soundtracks, but I was always drawn to the heavier side of soundtrack. Like remember like the Beavis and Butthead movie?
Yeah.
Like that had sick like I loved them
Oh, yeah.
first and then got the soundtrack and like White Zombie is on there when they're like tripping in the desert and that awesome song. Like I just remember always liking the heavier stuff on soundtracks. And then from that, I branched off to those bands and then, you know,
Right.
listen to each one of those discographies, and which leads me to blah 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 blah. You're playing, and all of a sudden I met Vic by playing on a tour where I was hired to play in this band Seven Witches on drums, and Vindicator was touring with us, and I remember just like gravitating to hanging out with his dudes like a lot more because I felt more of a connection like in that way, you know.
Vic has
Nothing-
talked
yeah,
quite
it was
about
just like-
quite a lot about Seven Witches.
oh dude, it was a blast. Those guys were awesome. I just
Yeah, that was
remember
a lot of fun.
yeah, I just remember always like we would be the ones like messing around like in the outside like filming weird shit, you know. But it was just so much fun. But that's how I really started playing, was just listening and to as much stuff as I could possible. And then I started taking drums a lot more seriously when I was introduced to like early Metallica, and I heard like the actual sounds of the drums. I didn't realize like something could be played that fast and that aggressive.
Mhm.
Because before that, I was just always going, you know, the regular 1, 2, 3,
Sure.
and 4. But then I heard, you know, like this,
Yeah.
like crazy, and you're like, oh my god, how can a person do that for that, like for 5 full minutes or whatever? And then you just start playing and playing and playing every day, and from there, that's really it.
Yeah, I never understood the vitriol that Lars Ulrich gets.
No,
I mean,
he does
he's
get a lot of hate.
He's a good drummer. I mean,
yeah,
I mean, he serves the music, serves the song.
That's the
But
key
then-
thing, is that he
but-
serves.
I feel
Yeah,
like he's
but
a
then
good
when you
drummer
hear stuff like
writer.
on Dyer's Eve,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I mean, those incredibly
Yeah.
fast double bass beat. I mean, you
Mhm.
know, I don't understand why he
He's
gets
an
the
easy
hate.
target.
yeah,
I guess
He's an
Metallica
easy
because they're
target.
so successful. I guess maybe,
Yeah.
Well,
but
it's because their music has changed too, you know,
Yeah.
tempos and
It's
everything
well,
else,
it's a
the
lot of
style,
things. When they took on Napster, that was like a big nightmare because that was a generation of people just pirating music, and they
Yeah.
took them on, and that kind of started, I think, a lot of it, you know. But I mean, you know, sorry to
Yeah.
sidetrack, but you know,
No,
Lars
yeah.
has gotten kind of rustier these days, which is understandable, you
well,
know.
I don't think he
Something.
definitely doesn't play all the fills. I mean, his drum set's half the size it used to be.
Right.
You know, and I'm not gonna. I mean, the guy's 50 years old, or
Yeah,
how old he is,
exactly,
655 or
He's like-
whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna fault him for simplifying some of those crazy things. It's like
Exactly.
no one's there to hear every intricate note. They just want to jam to the songs.
right,
You know, I'm not gonna bust his balls for that. man.
right.
I mean,
Yeah,
they're
he's-
still
he's
playing
great.
3-hour shows every night.
I know, it's crazy.
You know,
Did you
they're down in-
guys-
yeah.
Did you guys see the thing where Hetfield like kind of had like a breakdown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people were
Oh.
shitting on him for that, for being human.
Yeah, he was like,
Yeah.
man, he's like, I just feel like the old guy.
I feel
and
like an old
I'm-
guy.
But you
Yeah,
know
I mean,
what?
he is like a 50-something billionaire pretending to make thrash metal, so it's like,
Well,
why the fuck are you even
right.
still doing this?
Right.
Like,
But
I don't know. I
you
don't
know-
blame the guy, frankly.
right. But it's like I get it, like people shitting on him for having for being human. I like to see the human aspect of stuff, you know. Like the guy struggled with addiction for a long time because he relentlessly spent half of his life on the road, you know.
Well, that's a
That
lot of
stuff
these
takes
people
its
who have
toll.
never people who've never played music don't see these people as human and don't like they
Right.
know all the stories, but they don't put them in context. Like this guy doesn't sing as well as he used to, or he has a revolving door of band members, and it's like,
Right.
yeah, have you ever hung out with a junkie before? Because like, these guys were junkies for a while. Like, why isn't
Right.
Dave Mustaine as good at singing as he used to be? It's like, I don't know. Have you hung out with like hard addicts?
Yeah.
Yeah, have you sung
That
for
shit
40
takes a
years?
toll. Like,
Yeah,
and also
right.
like, do you know anyone that age who can shriek like that first record? Hell no.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, exactly.
So,
Okay, Jeff, what about your what got you into music?
I was into it really early. I was like the kid who was like elementary school when it was like the school band's playing, and I was like, yes, like
Yeah.
front row. Like I want to get like, where's the loudest instrument? I want to sit by that one.
Yeah.
I got them to let me start school band a year early. I played the tuba because it was the biggest, loudest instrument.
Nice, there you go.
Yeah. So my intro to music was actually the tuba. But then
That's awesome. I don't think I knew that.
yeah, and then my friends and I in like 5th grade probably saw like whatever sitcoms They Make a Band standard episode, and we're like, we should make a band. And like randomly,
I got a tuba. I'm ready to rock.
yeah, like let's go. And like I didn't know what I wanted to do. I had like a little keyboard that I was like, maybe I want to play this, but it never really went anywhere. I didn't get lessons. And then I heard Black Dog on the radio. I grew up in like rural Pennsylvania, so there was just classic rock everywhere, all around me, all the time. And my dad was into like all the cool '70s bands. So yeah, I heard Black Dog and the riff, and I was just like, whoa, I think I want to play guitar now forever. And I was like 12. And then it was this really frustrating, weird year of my life that's like bizarre to think of now. But I asked all the adults around me, what's the name of the song that says, hey, hey, mama said the way you move? And everyone was just like, I don't know. Like, we didn't know the names of songs back in the day because I don't know what it is. I guess everyone just thinks art is dumb where I grew up and never really cared about it. So I was like on this weird, bizarre quest. And I remember being at camp the next summer, like a year later, and hearing the song and going up to like whoever was running basket weaving merit badge, and being like, for the love of God, if you can tell me the name of this song, I will be forever in your debt.
I'll make a
She's like,
fucking
yeah,
basket.
dude, it's Black Dog. It's a classic. So I finally got to like scrape together $10 and go buy Zep 4, which was pretty sweet. And then that year for Christmas, my mom had like a hippie friend who got me The Song Remains the Same on VHS, like the old purple and yellow cover one.
Yeah.
And my friends and I watched that shit every weekend for like 3 years. Like we could sing every lick in the 27-minute Dazed and Confused. We were just like, this is the shit. Like these people are wizards. This is amazing. So then like I really started playing everything I could get my hands on, got really into classic rock, got really into like new metal because that was the thing at the time. At some point, a kid from like a bigger city in Canada moved to my town and became friends with my older brother. And he was like, hey, you're actually pretty good at guitar, dude. You should check out these bands. And in one day, I got exposed to Rhapsody, Yngwie Malmsteen, and Dream Theater. And was just like, man, because before that, I had spent 6 months learning Since I've Been Loving You note for note. And I was like 14 or 15. So I was like, I guess I'm the shit now. And then like I heard Trilogy Suite, it was just like, oh, back to practicing, I guess. But yeah, all that stuff. That from there, I just got into like wider music and just started trying to listen to everything and understand everything. And went to school, met a thrash band called Meltdown. We dropped out of school and moved to LA. We ended up changing the name to Mantic Ritual, which is how I met Vic. Mantic Ritual broke up, and me and the bass player were just like playing with whoever would let us go on the road and drink beer because we were like 22, and ended up doing some dates with Vindicator. and just hanging out with these guys because we liked hanging out with them a lot more. And I don't know, just been playing ever since, nonstop.
Great.
So Volcana is like a band of orphans,
yeah.
in a way. Like, like we are in other bands, but we like
Yeah.
these guys better. Let's farm another band.
Totally. And Vic and I
Yeah.
found out that we grew up like 2 hours apart and lived these like weird little parallel lives.
Yeah.
Like he was in the Cleveland thrash band, I was in the Pittsburgh thrash band, and
Yep.
Yeah, and two working collar, blue collar cities,
Yep.
Yeah.
industrial, post-industrial, cities.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Pittsburgh's got a lot more hills, though. I'll give you
yeah.
Yeah.
that.
As in Cleveland, yeah.
Yeah, and you're not nearly as
Definitely.
disappointing as Cleveland.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So what is it about metal that attracts you to it as a genre?
I mean, first it was like I was a pissed off teenager with like a lot of, I was bored. I like that it was loud. I think like the like dramatic over the top theatricality really got me going at first. That was always really cool. Like the teen angst stuff helped get me into it, but then when I found like the virtuosity, I really went nuts when I found out that like, wait a minute, there's guys who were doing like this pissed off badass music, but it's actually like way better than the stuff my parents listened to, and like no old people and authority figures can come in and tell me this is silly now.
Nice. What you, Glenn?
That's so similar, man. I had like a very parallel thing to Jeff too, because I was just playing like classic rock stuff too, and then all of a sudden like I was exposed to Dream Theater as well, and like all that like neoclassical prog stuff is like awesome to listen to, because well, taking it from like, all right, I started like really liking metal. You start with Metallica. Metallica is a great like gateway drug band, and then you start with that. They're awesome. They're gonna start with the old stuff, and then getting into like insane prog metal drumming. And it's just when you realize like Jeff said, when something can be super badass sounding, but also for some reason it sounds weird. Oh, that's because it's in 1916, like or something.
Yeah.
But it's fun. But it's not. I like when music like that is. You could tell. I don't think that they go into the room and they're just like that. This next one is going to be in 6 and then it's 5. Then let's just do like 4-3-2. How about that? Like that would just seem trivial. Like when the riffs just are like, you could tell maybe the riff was like something in 4/4, but then maybe like another little thing at the end was added, and it's just natural that it's just going to feel a little weird. But I always like was attracted to that side of metal later. But same way as Jeff too. I was into like, like Korn for so long because it's like the groovy heavy stuff, like when you're like when you're like 12 and 13, like, and I always like low tunings. I don't know why, something
Totally.
about
I had
it.
a 7-string for a minute.
Yeah, like once you hear, like, I remember, okay, yeah, I love this, and like Metallica's Standard E, and then I was like, okay, thing that should not be. Why does that sound sick? Oh, it's in D. And then I heard like, and then you hear like a Korn song. Yeah, and you're like, and then it's like it goes from like and then we're like boom, and you're like, what the heck? So like,
I feel like this is such a drummer guitar thing because you went for like the rhythmic aspect of being like, wait, this is different, and for me it was like harmonic and melodic stuff where like
see, that's
I learned all the classic rock and it's all blues based, and like made a band in high school. We learned 4 hours of covers and it was mostly classic rock stuff. And I learned all that stuff and I could shred pentatonic and improvise, but then like I got into power metal. Like I got into Dream Theater a little bit, but then I found Symphony X and was like, and it was the fact that like, wait a minute, you guys know how to use all the notes in between the pentatonic scale notes. Like it's not just the blues scale notes. You know what to do with all the other ones. You're taking all these chords that shouldn't sound nice, but they do.
All the jazz chords, the minors and the 13ths and the weird fucking sixths. And
it's like, how is this a catchy chorus when it's changing keys halfway through? What the fuck? How are you doing this? And like,
I know. So scales like that, and also like Symphony X is one of those bands that knows how to make like Egyptian sounding music sound like insanely badass.
So finding like
those scales.
there was so much out there. I mean, I
Yeah.
go to see classical music more than I go to see heavy music now.
Dude.
It's because
Oh,
of all
yeah.
those bands.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
love classical. But yeah, man.
Cool.
wild.
So you kind of mentioned this kind of question about some of the people you've grown up and liking and your musical influences and heroes. So have you had a chance to meet any of your musical heroes at all? And if so, who did you meet and what was that like?
Jeff, you want to
I
go?
like most of them. You
Did
want to
you?
go ahead?
Did you? Who have you met?
I met Korn once.
The whole
That was
band?
wild. Most of them. Yeah, we played a
That's
festival with them when I was in Warbringer, and like
Every colonel, he met every colonel.
yeah, every
Yeah,
last
every-
colonel.
Yeah. Did they
But it
like
was
throw
cool.
baloney at your ass or something like that?
It was like it was years later. I had kind of gotten out of them in high school, but
Yeah.
I was maybe it was in like my mid-20s, and I joined Warbringer for a little while, and we played Metal Days. I think it was still Metal Camp, the one in Slovenia. And it's this
Yeah.
crazy mountain drive to get in there, so everyone's like queasy, walking around just like, oh. And the bands
Yeah.
all had this food cafeteria area, and I'm sitting there like dumping out a tray of food with a bun hanging out of my mouth with Carlos, the drummer. We're like, ugh. And we turn, and he goes like, oh, hey, how's it going? And we just literally bump into Jonathan Davis, and we're
Nice.
like, hey. And he's like, hey, oh shit, are you guys from America? And we're like, yeah. And he's like, man, we've been in like places where nobody speaks English for 2 weeks and we can only talk to each other and we're driving each other nuts. Do you guys want to hang out for a second? And we're like, yeah, all right. And he was
No,
super
we're good,
cool.
thanks.
Yeah, he was just like, how's it going? Oh, you're in LA? Yeah, I lived in LA when my band was all huge and I was being a rock star, but I just moved back to my hometown and bought a beat up pickup truck and I hang out with my redneck buddies from high school again. Like, sick, but he was actually like kind of meek and nerdy, like you would
Yeah.
hope. But I was like, man,
Right.
my 14-year-old self is jumping for joy. Like, they were my first concert, and
Yeah.
I got to run into all of them and just say what's up and be like, yo, I bought a fucking Ibanez 7-string because of you guys, and they were really cool. I don't know.
Yeah, they seem cool.
That's cool.
I met Symphony X a bunch of times when it was like their first US tour. So my friends and I were all in high school and we would go see them every time and stay
Yeah.
after to get stuff signed. And they were just like, holy shit, you're not like a 45-year-old Queensryche fan? What's up? And they were like super cool. They tried to sneak us into a 21 and over show once, but they failed. But I don't know, a lot of good lessons. Like, I remember they played the same venue as Rancid on the same night. And I'm like talking to Russell Allen, like, my vocal god, whoa. And like, I'm in high school when you like identify with this shit. And he some like drunk ass Mohawk kid comes up and he's like, man, can you get me in? Like, my girlfriend's in there and like I don't even do nothing, man. And he's just like, yeah, cool, man, let me help you out, and like sneaks this kid in the back. And I'm like, man, that band, he's gonna see some bullshit band who just plays power chords and whatever, your band's way better. And he's like, it's all rock and roll, kid.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that was an important lesson to be like, shut up, you little fucking music snob. You don't even know what you're talking about. Rance is actually really good.
That's
Nice.
great.
Speaking of
That
Symphony
punk impersonation,
X,
though, that was
Yeah.
amazing.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you could do that on stage. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
speaking
yeah.
of
Yeah,
Symphony
more.
X, Michael Romeo just released his new solo album, which is fan-fucking-tastic. Both those
Yeah.
worlds 1 and 2, but this second one is, oh my god,
A
close my
lot
mind.
of
It's like,
notes on that record.
oh my god, he's
A
such a
lot of notes
I
on
think
that
still
record.
underrated guitar player. I really do. He is just fantastic. But
Yeah, I always like his writing. Like, I feel like he's, to me, the only guy who took all this like atonality stuff from 20th century music and like gave it a reason to be there. Like, it's not in the songs just fucking because. It's like, you actually wrote songs that need all this prog stuff. Like, it never feels crammed into me. So,
yeah,
Not
exactly.
forced.
like his ideas.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about you, Glenn? Have you met any of your musical heroes?
Yeah, just well, not too many. I've met I've met the full band Dream Theater when I was like 14. They were all really nice dudes. I was really little, and that, oh my god, that was nuts. That's so long ago now, but they were cool. Then I met Mangini, the new drummer,
Mhm.
and he was really cool. My friend went to Berkeley, and he was a professor there. And I actually asked him if he like remembered my friend. He did, and he was super kind. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen him do that like one-handed fastest thing.
Yes.
So like he
It's
literally
like Buddy Rich used to do.
he has like the world record now of doing like the most, you know, single beats in 1 minute, and like he could do it with one hand. So basically it sounds like ticka 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 just with this. And so I was like, dude, if I have to ask you, I was just about to leave, and I was like, can you like show me really quick how you do it? And he was like, let me ask you, how do you think I do it? And I was like fingers, like scooping the stick. And he's like, nope. And I'm like, wrist? And he's like, nope. And I'm like, I don't, oh, how are you possibly doing that? And then he like reaches around and like hits like right here. And I was like, what are you doing? And he was just like, it's that muscle in there. And his like little Boston accent, he's like, it's the muscle right in there. And I'm like, oh, wait, this here? And he's like, you got to flex that, and it goes up your arm. And I'm like, dude, how do you? I don't know. And
Bizarre.
he's like,
I don't have
practice
that muscle.
I was
Wow,
like-
that's pretty cool. I mean,
So
Oh,
he was really
weird.
nice. Yeah, I haven't met too many other, like honestly, like here. I actually don't like. I'm not. I don't like to meet heroes either. Like sometimes, like I
Yeah,
wouldn't
Dude, it
want.
sucks sometimes.
Like
I met
don't
Pete Sandoval when it was fucking dark.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
sometimes I just like I wouldn't want to look up to someone so much and then have that situation where they're just like, yeah, like fuck off, kid, like that kind of
Yeah.
attitude. I
Yeah.
would hate
yeah,
that.
it's
But not
once
it's-
that happens, then you lose. You're never a fan again.
has
you know,
that has that ever happened to you?
Oh yeah, yeah. We talked about that.
Yeah,
on the
tell
show.
them about the Gene Simmons. Give me
Yeah.
the old Gene
Oh,
Simmons story.
No.
It's
Everyone-
my favorite story
like,
because of
everyone
what he
has a
does.
Gene.
The retaliation that Montag does is the all-time best retaliation that a person can do. So go ahead
What
and give him the
happened?
I had done a proposal for a joint venture with KISS to be a part of it was basically an educational teaching tool. I used to teach English, and so I created a comic book, Grammar Man, and I was doing a new grammar handbook, and I wanted KISS to be a part of it, helping teach a lesson on different types of nouns. I thought that'd be kind of fun, and
That's
get a lot
awesome.
of promotion. Yeah, and so I brought some really nice pages to them, and I met them out in Vegas at a meet and greet, and Gene liked it. Thought it was a pretty cool idea, and but he never got back with me, like one way or another. So
Yeah.
a year later, they were in Cleveland. I'm like, okay, I got to go see. I got to find out, one way or another. So, paid the other $1,000 for another fucking meet and greet, and
Oh man.
so he remembered me. So did Eric Singer, by the way. He's like, hey, I remember you. We had another meet and greet, right? I'm like, fuck yeah. How did you fucking
Yeah.
remember me? But anyway, so I'm asking Gene, I go, hey, I got this. I just wanted to, get your thoughts. He's like, you want my assessment? I go, yeah. He goes, you don't want my assessment. I'm like, I just stood there like,
sound like such
as
an
my heart just
asshole.
like fucking broke. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, come
I mean,
on.
dude, why didn't you fucking just say no?
Yeah.
Or just all you had to do was say, it's not something that KISS wants to be a part of, but thank you for offering it to us. Then I'd have been fine. I'm
Yeah,
okay
right.
with handling no, but just to be such a fucking dick.
Yeah, I hate
So
it.
I'm like, oh, I'm just fucking broke. Because I mean, I loved Gene Simmons from when I was like 10 years old, and I was a huge KISS fan. Wanted to be Gene Simmons. That's why I got into music, And so I called my wife. I'm like, just devastated. Like, oh fuck, man, what a horrible, shitty thing, And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go sit at the show. Like, I'm not gonna fucking enjoy the show now. My heart's just broken. So I go out to my seat, front row. Right in front is Gene's microphone. I'm like, fuck, he's going to be 10 feet from me the whole goddamn show. So my heartbrokenness turned to anger. Like, I've been a fan for so fucking long. That's not the way you treat your fans. And then I thought, what a better way to get revenge as Vic loves. So what I started doing was I lifted my shirt up, showed him, stuck my gut out, and I just started smacking my belly every time that he walked by. And about after the 5th or 6th time, I saw it on his face because, he's got to be in the moment. He's got to be, Gene.
Yeah, you got to him.
But I saw it. I saw him look down and go, with that look of disgust on his face. I'm like, yes, fuck you, Gene. I got to you, you motherfucker. All you had to do was treat your fan nice. Take
That's
that,
how he
you
got
cunt.
revenge.
Yeah,
Fucking
so like
slapped his
I'm like,
belly
and
at
then
him.
once I knew I had him, I'm like, yeah, lifting up the shirt. Fuck you, Gene.
Yeah.
So that was how I got my gene story. and
Belly
that's
slap
why-
assault. Love
belly
it.
slapping him.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
awesome.
why I'll never be.
Don't make me slap my belly at you.
Yeah. I mean, if he wants to come on the show, that's fine, but I'm not going to be fucking nice. I'm going
I
to
hope
tell
you
him,
slap
listen,
your
you were
belly
a
at
dick to me. You didn't have to be a dick. So, Gene, if
Yeah.
you want to come on and apologize, fine. Otherwise, stay away. We don't really need you, you cunt.
Yeah.
So there, cheers.
Yeah.
Belly slap.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay,
so-
so yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to derail that one, but
No,
that's,
no, man,
I
it's
love
cool.
the
That's fine.
slapping the belly at
That's a
him.
good
That's fun,
story. It's a
sorry.
good story.
Yeah.
All right, so Glenn, who is your favorite metal drummer?
Um, I'd say it's probably Lars, to be honest with you. Like, I know it's like a weird thing because everyone attacks you, but like we were talking about before, I mean, he's literally, if I didn't have that dude, I wouldn't get. Then it's an easy Mike Portnoy probably second. And
Mhm.
if you watch, like, I know that I kind of take a lot of influence from that dude, and I kind of try to expand on, I take those kinds of fills, and then I kind of try to add in like old 60s influence, like Bonham style, and like those kinds of little fills here and there.
Mhm.
But I'd say probably, honestly, it's like, I'd say Lars Ulrich circa like 86 to like 91.
Okay.
Like great, like fast, aggressive, and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
and groove metal drumming. I like his ability to lay down, like he would like kick on every beat, just nailing something, and then
Mhm.
he would know
Yeah.
when to like do something in halftime. So
Yeah.
I love like that kind of feel when something goes into half and it's groovy.
Yeah. And
Right.
Justice for All is my favorite album of theirs.
Oh, here, look,
because
hang on.
it's technically, yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
man.
look at this. Hang on. So I got this thing because that's totally my favorite record too. I had to buy the giant box set.
Oh, you got the box set.
Nice.
Nice.
Sick.
All right.
Cool.
where it has like literally everything, and like you hear like the demo tapes and the riff tapes and everything.
Did you get the
Yeah, I
version
wanted
with
to
the
get-
bass put back in?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is one out there, and it's not bad.
On YouTube.
Yeah, I heard it on some guy on YouTube
Yeah, I
was
heard
putting
that
it in.
too.
And like,
Yeah.
wow, it
Yeah.
sounds so much different with bass in there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
What was that thing happening? Vic, you could probably answer it. Like on the guitars, because they were so high, it does that like whoop whoop noise.
They're
Isn't
just
that
super
that's from
fucking
the
compressed?
yeah, that's like partly from I think they were using Mesa V's. Was
Yeah,
that Mark
so-
Fives? Is that what it was on that record? So that's already like a
Probably.
really low end kind of
Yeah,
gain. So and the production's real dry on that
It is.
record as well. So it's
Super dry.
probably you get a little bit of I mean the guitars were super bass heavy.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's
You
Well,
like
they had
no-
to be because there's no bass.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I
You
think
know?
because it was tracked
works.
so many times over and over and layered and layered and layered.
Yeah.
That was resulted in that. So
Yeah.
Jeff, do you like the like guitar leads on that record?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
they're
is
just-
funny because I'm not
they're fun.
like a Kirk Hammett fan, but that
Yeah.
record
Yeah.
rips, dude. Like
Yeah.
it's great.
You know
Mainly
why
I'm
I
a Ride
feel
the
like,
Lightning guy myself.
Yeah.
Like I like the European gross, dirty kind
Yeah.
of sound, but like
yeah,
Justice rips, dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it sounds like they like thought of those leads, before they wrote and put them down.
Right.
yeah, they're
right.
well composed.
Yeah, they
It's
were.
like, I
Yeah,
don't know. That's like peak Kirk for me. Is like, yo, you had
Yeah.
skills for a minute there, bro.
Right.
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now he plays kind of like Messi now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. So
He wears
sometimes-
those cool
embarrassing ass
shirts, though.
fucking Guitar Center cover sessions they do.
His guitars
Yeah,
are really
I-
cool. He's got cool horror guitars. He's a big horror fan.
Yeah,
He's got cool
actually,
horror guitars, but he and Trujillo do those things where they go out and like just guitar and bass and cover
Oh,
classic
they're so
tunes.
bad.
It
Those
sounds
are
like
so-
14-year-olds in Guitar Center. It's horrible.
yo, those are so cringy.
It's
They are.
embarrassing. Like,
I don't
I'm
know why
embarrassed that
they
I
would
like
think-
heavy metal when I see that.
I mean, sometimes I don't know. So I have a love-hate thing with them live now because I see those videos and I'm like, you guys, this sounds so weird.
They are really sloppy live. They, a
It's
lot of their
just-
songs are fast. And
No, I
sloppy.
mean no, but this is a thing that they've been doing now where
I've not
where-
seen the Guitar Center shows though, so I don't know.
yeah, you just gotta look 'em- they're bad, man.
Dude,
They're
yeah,
like
it's like
they'll-
they'll
they'll
be in
play
a
like a-
stadium and it'll be like, let's go play like a Celtic Frost song, but it's just Kirk and Rob,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's bad, and we can't
It's
play
real
it. And I'm
bad.
like, do you know how many like uneducated 14-year-olds I've seen go out and crush this shit with way
Yeah.
better attitude and groove and whatever? Like, get out of here. It's embarrassing. So
I mean,
It
because when
is.
I saw them back in the day, earlier when they were doing like Merciful Fate covers, I mean, they were dead on. They were spot on.
Mhm.
yeah, they used
You
to
know, Curse
slay,
of the
but
Pharaohs
like
and stuff, and
metal's
Yeah.
a young man's game, dude. If you go look at all the dinosaur bands now, they all have like a drummer who's my age.
Yeah.
Right.
And like
Yes.
I'm already goddamn near too old for this shit. And you see these guys, and it's like, what are you, good lord.
Yeah, that's
Right,
true.
right,
I know.
right.
I noticed the same thing. Like all these like older bands, they could still rip on guitar, but and they're like 50. But then the drummer's like my age, like
Yeah.
30 or something.
Yeah, right.
I
Yeah,
think
because like
yeah.
I don't know.
Something
I
happened
think
with
the
Lamb of
nostalgia
God.
gets dangerous in metal, man. Like we let Vector
Right.
fucking die while people paid $180 to see the reanimated corpses of Slayer roll around.
Right,
It's like,
right.
Jesus Christ, like who cares?
Right. It is a nostalgia thing. You're absolutely right there. And it
Rough,
snuffs,
man.
I think it heavily snuffs out up and coming bands.
Well, yeah,
And
I mean,
so many bands die in the shadow of a dinosaur band. Like, and I'm
Mhm.
not saying that like
yeah.
I fucking love those old bands. I absolutely do. I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't because every band in the 80s. You know? I
But
love
it's
those
like,
bands,
who
but
would you rather have seen in 1986? Metallica or like whatever fucked up version of like Deep Purple or Sabbath that was going
Yeah.
on? Like,
right.
you would rather have
Exactly.
seen like 19-year-old Metallica burn a
Yeah.
fucking hole in the stage
Yes.
Right.
than
Yeah.
like see some
Absolutely.
old ass rich men go out and pretend they know what rock and roll is.
I
Like,
think
Right.
that was
get
like
out of here.
like Jeff, didn't they like open for Ozzy and people loved them more?
Yeah, I mean, it's like
86?
story old as time, man. When you see like Van
Yeah.
Halen going out on their first tour and opening up for like the last Black Sabbath with Ozzy tour and just blowing them away every night.
Yeah.
It's like,
Right.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
bands run a course, man. Like we need to just admit this to ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
by
Or
the
at
time
least, I mean,
never
at
came
least
by the time you have Never Say Die, that's just a weak album, man.
Yeah, and there's some jams on it, but like
But it's not
Johnny,
the same
love
as
Johnny
chemistry
Blade.
wise,
Black
like get
Sabbath.
out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I like some of the songs on like Perfect Strangers, but it's like some of it just is, oh, good lord.
What did you
Yeah.
guys think of 13?
I
It was
like
pretty
it,
cool.
but I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's like, I don't
It
know.
was cool because they knew what they were then. They knew like,
Right.
hey, we're like these like elder statesmen. Like
Yeah.
bands like whenever they know we're like, hey man, we're like the wise elder wizards coming in, like then it's cool. When you're like
Right.
old and pretending you're young, it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's like look at a
Right.
band like Yes. I wouldn't have wanted to
Mhm.
see Yes in the 90s, but Yes 5 years ago was like fucking mind blowing.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like that's so
Yeah.
weird. But yeah, dude.
Well, Jeff, who's your favorite metal guitarist?
Ooh. This is tough. Can we count Uli John Roth, or is he more rock and roll?
No, that's fair.
Any guitar, man.
Scorps are considered. They're considered.
Yeah,
Even the
Scorpions
early
metal.
ones.
I really like Uli Roth because he's like this. He combines like he's got mad chops, but they're not too clean. He's still like this wild '60s psychedelic cat that you could only get from having been there. Like he actually saw Jimmy when he was alive, so he never got too like safe in his playing. Like I saw him a couple of times just a few years ago, and it was still like wild where he was taking chances. And like I find metal bands like, when's the last time you saw a metal band improvise? No, they learn
Right.
everything note for note and play it perfectly and safe.
Yeah.
And it's like Uli's still like fucking wild and creative and weird, and his whole idea of how he approaches music and his tone and his voice and his gear, it's like all just fucking bonkers. Like it's no like just like I don't know, he's so strange and creative and unique, and he has all these weird like quasi mystic beliefs about his guitar playing and his intervals. And I ran into Kiko Loureiro at the airport when he was moving to LA, which was crazy. And he ended up being like, hey man, here's my phone number, let's get a beer. And this was way before Megadeth, but I was really into Angra and all of his solo stuff.
Yeah.
Holy shit, you guys are gonna hang out with Kiko. And like we went and had a beer once, and I was just like, this is too weird, man, I can't pretend not to be a fan. But he was talking about like, dude, we did a show with Uli as a guest, and like he has all these cool beliefs about like the major seventh is like shaman. His shows are nuts. His like he did, you know how every guitar player has the like it descends off into noise portion of their live show of like, at this point I make fucked up noises come out of my guitar. His almost made me throw up. Like he hit this frequency that just fucked my inner ear, and I almost fell down at the whiskey. I was just like, what the fuck was that? Like those old cats, like the only other person I've seen do the fucked up noise part as well was I saw the Doors guitar player a couple years ago, and like I'm not even a big Doors fan, but that guy was like, he had like an SG, a little Fender combo, an overdrive, a wah, and a delay pedal, and he got like 1,000 sounds out of it. And his psychedelic noise part was like, whoa, you old '60s cats like know something we don't about psychedelia. This is nuts. So yeah, I think Uli, he kind of hits all the bases of what I like, because I love like Jason Becker and Michael Romeo, and I love Andre from Blind Guardian. I think he's literally the most underrated guitar player in metal. You'll never see him on a list, but it's like, go look up the live shit from when he's 19. He's killer. His melodies have always been good. He's never played a bad solo. He's played a million great solos. Never been on a list, but like,
I think people don't know what to do with that band. Like, what is this band with all these choruses and singing about Lord of the Rings? And I think that might be part of it. He's not going to be. He's not going to be the popular band, right? Blind Guardian's never going to be on that list of like cool bands. But if you know him, if you're into that symphonic metal, I mean,
they're like the band of that stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And they can still sell out big venues all around the States, which is nuts for a band.
Right.
Yeah, probably a lot bigger in Europe, I would imagine.
Yeah, oh my God.
Well, that's
Europe.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think Uli kind of hits like, he's where, a guy like Andre got his harmony stacking, like probably even more so than Brian May. He's where Yngwie got a lot of shit. He's where all the neoclassical guys, all the shredders, all the weird, fucked up, noisy players, like he kind of did it all and was like, he's pretty unknown to a lot of people, but he's like at the beginning of so much of that stuff.
Cool.
And he stepped away from like, imagine being a German metal musician and stepping away from the Scorpions in the late 70s. Just to be like, I think I just want to go explore music. Bye, guys. Like, I respect the integrity. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I think he was one of the first guitar players. Uli, well, you guys can correct me. He really brought the fretless guitar to the forefront. And it's just amazing. Old videos of him and just the fluidity of his playing. And right on, Jeff. I agree. He's very, hats off.
He's the man. All of his, like, he learned all the Four Seasons. Like, he's just wild, man.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. All right. I want to talk to you a little bit about creativity and process. We talked, you mentioned a little bit about the process. We know Vic contributes the click track and nothing else. But we're going to talk more about, like what song of yours do you have that the most emotional connection to in Volcano's music?
Oh man, what's the first one you ever sent me? It was with Table of Stone.
Table of Stone's sick, dude.
Yeah. I was like, this is exactly what I like. I love this kind of attitude, this feel. I like when, it's just like that kind of metal where it's a perfect mix of like, it was just like Sabbath, then like the modern side of like things like with the sword, and then it had, that like Vic has that style of guitar playing that is just you, so it's you in there too, and it's just like it was a perfect thing. And I write riffs too, like in that vein, in that sound. So then sometimes I'll send him stuff, you could pull from my riffs. I just don't, I love to contribute anything there. And then like the bass playing is like so easy for me because it's exactly that style that I like. So I just felt like that song especially was awesome to hear as a first one. So that's the one I have the most connection to personally.
And I just wanted to say Table of Stone is still the one I show people when I'm like, yo, check out this drummer.
Oh, dude. Thank you.
The way you flip, like, you basically flip the kick and the snare of what most dudes would play on that beat. I'm always just like, dude, this is so cool. Yeah, I really like it.
Awesome. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I love that song, man.
Yeah, that one has a great feel. For me, I don't know, I like a lot of them because Volcana was the first band that I've ever been in where someone said, "Here you go, dude. Do whatever you want."
Yeah.
That's a
When
really
Vic
good
told me
impression
that.
of Vic. I mean, it's almost spot on. That robotic voice.
Yeah,
Here you go, dude. Do whatever
Here you go,
want.
dude. Do what you would
We should
like.
have
It was a text. That's why it's robotic.
we should have had them. We should have had you guys on when we were roasting them on the Vic Dictators episode.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun.
Would have had a field day.
Oh, I did. Thank you. Yeah.
But no, like, it was cool because in all the other projects, people would always just be like, dude, don't do 4 harmonies. Like, no. And Vic was like, I don't care, man. Stack up as many as you want. Go nuts. Double everything. Try weird
Yeah.
shit. Do stuff for the outro. Put stuff under the verses. So, I think Glory or Doom was where I first got to be like, yo, this is like the kind of thing I've wanted to write for a long time. And someone just
that's
like
one of yours, Glenn. That's your song.
someone did
Glenn's.
all the hard parts for
Yeah.
me of like giving me a song to work on, and all I had to
Yeah.
do was make melodies over it. So I like that. And close second, the Black Mist, because when Vic said, "Do you want to do a full length?" I said, "Yes, if you give me a section that sounds like Merciful Fate to really
Yes.
fucking rip over."
I fucking love that riff, man. I was so proud of myself for writing. I was like, this is a cool Merciful Fate riff. I love
Yeah,
it.
man. I was like, I want changes because all the bands I played in before were like thrash bands. So it was like, okay, here's the first riff that you have to write a solo over. All right, here's the second riff. Okay, here's the next one. It's just like, dude,
Man, you're way
everything
better
is
than
warp
Vic.
speed in an
Yeah.
E. And like, I love all the thrash bands I've been in. They're fucking awesome. One of them recently reunited. I'm having the time of my life. But I was like, dude, I need changes. I need something to bounce off of, to play off of. So I was like, Vic, the solo sections need to have changes. And he showed me the Black Mist, and I was like, oh, this is gonna fucking rock.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah, dude, that first record was so much fun to play. That I remember having so much fun tracking drums to that one, dude. Smoke and Terrors, man, that song is so good.
That's
I
an old
remember
one
being
too.
Yeah,
blown away because Vic was like, hey, I'm gonna do like a full length. And I'm like, okay. And then it was like really short amount of time later, I'm at work and he's like, yo, I got some stuff for you to listen to. And I thought it was gonna be like scratch tracks of riffs. And it was the guitars, the drums, and the bass, like
Yeah.
done.
dude,
I was just like, oh shit, that was like 2 months ago, dude.
I love for some reason, like, I can really record quick when Vic sends me stuff because I feel a big connection to it. It just it just becomes easy to play to because I know like where you're gonna go.
Because
And
Vic's a musical dude. Like the music
Yeah.
makes sense. You can hear what it's
Yeah.
supposed to be.
I feel like
There's
there's
some
like
melodic.
those trends too. Like when you feel like from all the music we grew up with, like you know that like when right before in a verse, if it's you could tell it's gonna end when maybe it's like lifting and it's like and then boom. Like you know like what's gonna like I feel like I was recording some stuff for Vic the other day. It was just literally I listened to it like 3 days and then I went in and dude, it was like 6 songs in like an hour and a half and I'm like, dude, done. It's perfect. Like don't think too quick or don't think too much either. Like when you sent me the first record of like the Volcana stuff, I remember like it was old school recording too because it was before I got like I think I recorded that like no, I recorded that on the interface, but I used to record on a freaking, you guys will probably know, remember those like blue Tascam machines?
Yeah.
A little 4-track.
And
Yeah.
I would,
yeah.
and it was digital, and I had it.
Oh yeah.
Right next to me, and I would, you could put the tracks into it, and then I would just listen to it, and I would have to like literally physically hit the record button to punch in at the same time, and it was like it was a nightmare. So right before Vic sent me those tracks, I switched to a real setup with like a nice Focusrite, like nice interface, and like I have everything. And so I remember him sending me those tracks, and I was just like, oh, dude, these are so naturally perfect. Like, and I remember I had a good setup. Like, even if I would mess up, I would just like stop, like run over, like take it back a minute, punch in again, run back to the drums, and just keep going. And dude, yeah, like Jeff said, like he sent it to me, and then I was done like pretty quick. And I'm like, dude, these are so natural to me because they just felt like such healthy, good, like Sabbathian metal, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was
Sabathian, I like that.
Sabbathian, dude. It was
Dude,
Dude,
so
that one
good.
that came together pretty
Yeah,
quick.
and
Because we did
it's
the
not
single.
rushed.
I wanted to have the single. I wanted to do a single for it because I was
Yeah.
going to a metal fest and I wanted to be able to hand them out. And the turnaround like kind of fucked that up. So I made like business cards and I put download codes on the back of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Handed those out instead. But we released that single and I didn't anticipate anything. I mean, I have mistakes in there. I've said it before. Like, I think it's on Tapeless Stone. Like I fucked something up and I just left it in there.
Yeah, it's cool.
I just didn't
Yeah.
care. It's like, and people, we got such a good response.
Well, I
out
remember
of
that was supposed to be a
recording.
demo, and you were like, "Fuck it, I'm releasing it."
Yeah, it's just fuck it. It's
Yeah.
just it's a single now, and like within
I got
like
it
a
over here
week,
somewhere.
Austenitize got a hold of me, and I know Luke from local metal shows and stuff. And he was like, "Hey, I think I want to cut my teeth on this release. I want to do a 7-inch." I'm like, "Fuck yeah!" And the
Yeah.
great part is that I had already talked. Like, I think it might have been the same fucking day. Dive Bomb Records got a hold of me and said, "Hey, we want to put you on this metal comp that we do." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. I didn't think this would see physical pressing." And like that same day, Luke's like, "I want to do this on 7-inch." And I was like,
Ah.
"Oh shit. I just said Dive
Yeah.
Bomb could do it." So I got a hold of Dive Bomb. I'm like, "Hey, would you be upset about this?" They're like, "No, not at all. Just no other CDs, for X amount of time." It was like a year. And I was like, "Fuck yeah." And it got good response. And so Goddess of Flame came together real quick after that. It was
Mhm.
pretty natural. Smoke and Terrors was originally written with the first batch, and so was, I think, the Black Mist was written with the first batch. And we
Yeah.
shortened it down to a single just because of time constraints. And it was like, well, we'll just put it out and let people know what we're about. And working like that was kind of Tim Holsinger's first stab at kind of engineering and stuff. And we had a lot of fun with it, man. Because I'm the same way with everybody that works with me in this project, including artist Joe Gettler. So I do all the digital art. If it's a digital only release, I can't pay, $100, $200 for art. But if
Yeah.
it's getting pressed, I do art. So typically, if I'm pressing it, I'll work with Joe. I've worked with Joe. He did the Communal Decay art. He did the Lion Among Jackals art. He did Goddess of Flame.
Yeah. It's
And
cool.
when we get to our next Volcana release, I've already got the art for that. So I mean, I'm one, and I just, he's like, here's what the album's called, do whatever. That's how I am. So it was the same thing with like Tim Holsinger as engineering this. He'd be like, "Hey man, would it be okay if I put some sounds in here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, do whatever you want to do, man. Do whatever you want to do. Like, if it sucks, I'll be like, no, that's not good. But it
Yeah.
seldom sucks, when you're working with people, kind of get what you're doing." So that
That's
one did
kind of
that one.
sounds like this is how this very kind of loose experiment, not quite experimental, but you're just giving everyone carte blanche to kind of do what they think feels good in the moment for that song. And
Right.
and
Yeah.
you're allowing everyone trusting everyone to kind of just bring their game to whatever is going to be. And the process is seeing how everyone contributes to making the whole.
Right. Honestly, it's like Christmas for me when I write songs. And I write songs. I sat on Feast for I think a couple of years at least. I thought the song sucked. And I said, "You know what? Fuck this." 2020 was a bad year for everybody, and it was a real dark time for me personally. And so going back to that's the song Feast, I have the most emotional connection to because I was very beat up. It was a rough 2019 for me, and it rolled right into 2020 with everything going on, so I had all the same emotions everyone else had, plus some on top of that. So that song was really personal for me. But I don't know what I said, fuck it, I'm going to do it. And these guys turned that song into a stellar fucking song.
Yeah,
I
so
I
good.
sent them something that I just thought, this song's really not that good. And when I got it back from Glenn and Jeff, it was way fucking better. And so it's like Christmas to me when I send these guys
Mhm.
songs. I can't wait to hear all the new stuff. It's like opening gifts because each section, because Glenn gets it first. and it's the drums bass. It's like, yeah, and now I get to hear
Yeah.
the sounds, then I get to hear the Jeff soundscapes. It's awesome. It's the whole process. It's a very smooth, easy process. And because we're a studio band, there's no real super pressure on stuff. We're not science. We don't have a label breathing down our necks like, hey, you got to get us these tapes or anything, So the workflow is pretty easy, and this has been an absolute pleasure. I don't even know what the question was, but that's where I went.
No,
This
it's
is
cool.
why
I was going to
This
ask
is
you
why
about
they don't
your
let me talk.
emotional connection. No, it's fine. Yeah, I'm glad you talked about being a studio band because, if you need someone to come in, like Brian Wilson, when he was recording some of those albums and just kind of going crazy, if you need someone for the next Volcana record to come in and like do some belly slaps,
Dude,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm totally
We
ready
know
to
a
rock
guy
that.
now.
Yeah, I'm ready to rock that, and well, I mean, do you play out at all? Do you do any kind of touring at all, or is it all
There's
studio?
no touring or live shows, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll never happen. So we
Well, I'm going to skip all my
Yeah.
touring questions then. So I guess
well,
we don't have
these
to ask-
guys have toured, but just not
Yeah.
as Volcana. So I don't know if you
Oh,
want.
that's true. That's true.
You,
I mean,
you
have
could
passed. I mean,
ask them, or you could pass them because this
No,
band
they're-
hasn't technically toured. It's up to you.
No, I mean, it's cool. I mean, I'm just going to ask, the fun things like, what's your favorite food to eat on the road?
Right.
Oh, dude, I love like any like spicy nut from like a shitty gas station in the middle of Louisiana. I'll just get like a shit ton of hot nuts.
Nice.
Hot nuts, dude. Hot
Dude,
nuts.
hot nuts.
Hot
man.
nuts.
Hot
Bring it.
nuts.
Bring the hot
Hot-
nuts.
Dude, hot nuts, and also on tour is the only time that I'll be down to get to like if I'm driving, it's like 2:30. I'll get like a nice cold like Monster Energy. I don't do energy drinks, but on tour I'll slam one of those down. Or maybe I remember, dude, Vic, on that Seven Witches tour, they had me driving and it was like 3 a.m. in like some backwoods road in Louisiana. And I remember looking at like the lines in the road and they started to like come off the road. Dude, at one point, the dude Jack was like, "You're right, bro," and I was like, and I'm like, let me pull over. Let me just pull over like really quick. And he's like, yeah, all right. And I just remember like going to a gas station, getting like a Monster Energy, and I definitely got nuts. But yeah,
It gets weird, man.
Yes, yeah, it just gets like weird just to look down and see that. I mean, I just did another like short weekender with like I'm in this band called Reese Van Riper. He's like the main dude, and it sounds like old Southern like Creedence Clearwater mixed with like Alice in Chains and Nirvana.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
Wow.
like very
Okay.
You had me
ugly.
at Credence.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's-
exactly, man. I know.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to CCR. You had me there, man. That's excellent.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
like that mixed with like Alice or like some ugly grunge. But I toured with
So
him
we
for a little
got-
bit. But yeah,
Nice. So we're gonna have, not Born on the Bayou, Born in Seattle.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's excellent, man. Oh, cool.
man.
But that, yeah, to answer your question, hot nuts
Hot nuts are and the occasional
Spice-
energy drink.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay,
or like
Jeff.
a lot of coffee too.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you,
in
man?
here, in here.
I don't know if there's a specific food. I mean, a lot of coffee. A lot
Yes.
of coffee. Because your sleep schedule is just ridiculous and it changes every day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the best meal I can remember having, there's this woman named Birgit Haugen. They call her the Metal Mama, and she shows up to like every show in Colorado, and she knows every band. She's this old German lady who just fucking loves heavy metal.
What?
And she knows every band, and she knows like who has someone who has celiacs, who has vegetarians, who
Yeah.
likes what. And she'll show up with just like crock pots full of food and Tupperwares for you and just be like, here, because you eat like shit for like a month at a time and it takes a toll, man. It's like
Yeah.
everyone's malnourished and awful and you're drinking all the time and everyone just looks horrible by some point. So even if she like can't have you crash, she'll be like, you guys can swing by my place and like shower and shave.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Oh, I think.
I think you froze,
like,
Jeff. Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
There
we
it
go.
is.
Okay.
Oh, I
There you
froze?
are. You froze for a
you're good
second.
now.
You
Yeah.
were in a cool
Sorry.
pose though. You had a cool pose.
But Yeah, she's like one of those people who just makes it possible for metal to exist by just being like, yo,
Yeah.
you want to like support a band? Like people are always asking like, do you make more money if I buy your CD at the show or online? The answer is fucking neither. If you want to help a band out on the road, buy them some food that is not like greasy and
Yeah.
awful. Like buy them something with
Oh.
vegetables in it so they actually like are nourished for another day of their lives, and like that will help a band out.
Right.
Nice. Okay. Well, that's all. That's important. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we don't know. We don't look at
You know,
the
thanks about
bands that are
that.
on a certain level of touring and success. You know, we see the stories of the big bands who make it, and they got the craft services and
Yeah.
all these catered affairs. But like
Yeah.
so many bands that we have talked to are similar in your situation. Like you're grabbing the hot nuts at the station, or you're
Yeah.
like eating crap. And
Dude,
Vic
you
was
get
talking about
10
going to the
bucks a day.
Vindicator. He would
Yeah.
buy a thing of ramen noodles, and he'd have a ramen cup. And that
Dude,
was his,
That's what I did on
you know,
my,
and
my
like,
big
and
tour.
I'm
Cup of
getting, it's like,
noodles every day.
it's
Yeah.
like it's like being a college
Yeah.
student in a way. I mean, I went to
Yep.
college, and like you don't have any money. Our
Mhm.
McDonald's on Tuesdays had 30-cent hamburgers.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna go and spend
take 10
$3. Yeah, I'm gonna get 10 hamburgers.
Yeah, man.
And toward the end of the semester, you're out of food coupons. You don't have money. I don't want to ask my
Dude.
parents for any money. And then our microwave broke down, so I'm like, oh fuck. So I have this refrigerator full of like cold hamburgers, and it's May, so it's not warm. But I would open them up on the windowsill and like pry open that cold bread, and it would tear, and leave them in the sunlight in hopes that the sun at least would take some of the frost off of these burgers.
Right.
I mean, that's the shit you do when you're in
Yep.
college, or you got nothing else. I got a can of fruit cocktail, and I got a little bit of cornflakes left, and I'll just dump the cornflakes in the
Yeah,
can of
like-
fruit cocktail.
New meal, baby.
Exactly, and that's what
Yeah,
you're
who
eating, right? No,
cares?
man, I get it. That's
My
you know-
first band would do this thing where we were given $10 a day to eat on. We were opening for like Rotting Christ, and it was January, and it was 17 days with no break was the first leg of it. It was like a 30-day tour. The first break was day 18, and we were like
Oof.
teenagers. It was our first time on a big run like this. We had no idea what we were doing. We're freezing. It sucks. And you get $10 a day to eat on. So we're like, all right, well, let's do the math here. What's the most effective way to do this? So we were buying canned food, and we get that like little, you could get that like green salsa, like salsa verde in a little can, and like beans and corn, and like it's safe. But you're
Yeah.
sitting there with like cans of food like a hobo. We would get little bowls from gas stations and just mix up these meals with like marinara or whatever else to flavor it. And we'd eat it and be like, well, it's nutrients. And the best part was once in a while the promoters would see us and just be like, oh, god damn, you know what? I'm just going to buy you guys a pizza right now.
Was that $10 for the
Dude.
whole band, or $10 each?
$10 each.
Okay,
Which for like a day's food is
that's
not much.
no, it's not. I mean, no, you
Yeah,
gotta like
it's
save a
skimpy.
lot. You can buy a can of corn for 29 cents, but yeah, I get it, man.
Yeah.
That's not a whole lot.
Yeah, which is weird because when you tour in Europe, it's nothing like this. And all the older bands, like we played shows with like, I don't know, everyone we played with were like, we got to get you guys to Europe, man. It's not like this over there. Because in America, they're just like, here's 2 beer tickets, fuck off, get a job. I'm
Yeah.
like, for some reason, mad at you for being here. And it's just like, sorry
Yeah.
for playing your venue. I don't know, man. Like, so you get like nothing. You go to Europe, and I toured Europe once, and it was everything they said. You get there, and they're like, oh man, I brought like 3 of my big ass muscly friends to help you guys unload your gear. We're like, oh, we'll get loaded in now. And they're like, no, you guys were just in a van for like, what, 6? You guys played 8 hours away yesterday? They like checked, and they're like, no, sit down for a while. Take a break. It's fine. You guys need somewhere comfy to sit? Here, I'll make sure no one comes in and bothers you here. Sweet. And then they'd help you unload, and they'd have like sandwich stuff laid out, and they'd be like, sorry, it's not much. And we'd be like, are you fucking serious? This is amazing. They'd have like healthy food laid out for you to eat. And then they'd be like, cool, tell us what you want for dinner. Here's like a big ass menu from either here or some local place. Tell us where and when you want it to be served to you.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I feel like I'm in fucking Van Halen, dude. Like, what is happening right
Yeah.
now?
Nice.
Yeah.
And then you
So-
come back here, and
Yeah.
it's like, I got you guys a bag of Doritos for all of you. There you go.
Yeah, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Can I have a
Packets of
beer?" And they're
bologna
like,
on
"No."
hand.
Yeah, no.
You have to end up paying for it like the Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Um, that's great. I love that. I love that. Well, for those of you who've been on tour, all of you have been on tour in different bands. Can you tell me your most Spinal Tap like moment on tour?
Yeah, I have a good one. So there was on that Seven Witches tour with Vic, there was a lot of moments where there was just like a lot of bad luck happening. And it was just like, there was one moment where like we went to Boston and played the show, and then the promoter came out at the end, and we wanted the money, and we thought it was supposed to be like $300 each, and the guy was like, no, it's 30. Like you see it here. Like, why would you say it's 300? And like there was this huge like crazy uproar that happened, and then there was like something wrong with the car maybe one night, and then just this and that, like just problems with gear. I remember Vic, I was playing the show at that Ripper's Rock House or whatever, and I was using your brother's double bass pedal,
Yeah.
and like the spring just exploded, and I felt
Combusted.
I felt so bad, and I was just like, what the
It was the
fuck?
last night of tour for us, so that was okay. We almost didn't get to play that show. Did I ever tell you that Tim
No.
Owens was like, if you guys don't promote this on Facebook, you're not playing the show. And I was like, are you serious? We're providing backline. So do you want a show or?
Yeah, like what?
Yeah,
What's,
sorry.
now,
that-
for those of us out here in TV land, Victor, what is backline? Pretend that some of us don't know.
Yeah,
what this
Vindicator
is.
was providing like the drum kit and the cabs, like the band, like
So
Seven Witches and
backline is what?
gear. We were
Gear.
providing the gear for the headliners,
There
and
we go.
they wouldn't have had gear if Tim Owens wouldn't have let us or would have stopped us from playing. So Ed Stevens
So you smacked your belly at Tim and you said, we're providing the backline.
I had Ed
and then
do it.
what was
Ed played in bands with him. So Ed had his number and got on the phone, was like, hey man, what's the deal? And he's like, oh, you're in Vindicator. I didn't know. And the story, the story changed after that. Could you just share it from your Facebook? 'Cause I really need people to come. It was like, don't be a dick, Tim Owens.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was weird.
Are you going to tell him that story when he comes on?
Yeah, I'm gonna say quit wearing fucking monster hats all the time and don't be a dick. That's what I'm gonna say to him.
So that tour, yeah, there was like moments like that, like weird shit. And then the most Spinal Tap moment, I mean, it was just so funny. Like we walked in and there were so many bad things this day before this show, and they were like I was outside and one of the dudes was like, Glenn, can you just come in for a second? I was like, yeah, what's up? And they're just like, man, this shit is so fucked up. They're like, look at, this is where they want us to play. And then I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, look right here. And I looked, and dude, it was just the smallest little box of where we had to play on the floor right next to a bar in the middle. It was someplace in Houston. And I was like, are you serious? Like, this is it? And then like, they just looked at me for a second and then cracked a smile, and they were pranking me. And I was like, dude, I was believing you. And then you couldn't see, if you went around the corner, there's a massive stage. But I was like, right, this is what we're doing. And
Are we going to play fucking Stonehenge? Nice.
I think my most Spinal Tap moment story is actually from that tour as well.
Yeah, what was it?
It was Detroit, when we played Detroit. And so we had in our trailer, we were taking some of Seven Witches gear, because they had, you guys were driving around in like some little small fork.
It was like a
four-door
RAV
thing.
It was like a RAV4, and I was right up against LaPon the whole time.
It was great. So we had we had like Jack Frost's head was in there. Some
Yeah.
other stuff was in there. And dude, it wasn't, we had this system where somebody always checked the trailer before we left, right? It was one of those big trailers with the door that came down off the back, like the ramp door.
Yeah.
So it was Justin was supposed to check it. He was the guy playing leads for us at the time. And it was his trailer and it was his truck. And we loaded stuff on there, and he had the last thing. So we just got in the truck, and he gets in, and we're driving down the road, and we drive for like 10-15 minutes in Detroit, mind you, stopping at lights and shit. It's sketchy out there. And dude, this guy comes up next to us. He rolls his window down. He's going like this. And we're like, dude, don't fucking roll your window down. This guy's gonna shoot us or something, you know? Like he
Yeah, you're
couldn't
like-
shoot us through the glass, but so we do. We're like, all right, because he looked like a metalhead too. And he's like, dude, he goes, dude, your guys' trailer's open. We had been
Oh,
driving down the door, dragging that door down the road. It was like sparks were shooting off of it and shit.
oh my
And dude,
god.
the drums were stacked right at the back of it, and not a single fucking thing fell out, man.
That's so
We
lucky.
drove for 10, and Justin got mad. He's going, why the fuck did you guys check the trailer? And we go, dude, you were the last one to put something
Oh
in
my
there.
god.
Why didn't you shut it?
That's
was
insane.
awesome. I can't believe like just someone didn't rush out of the shadows when
Yeah,
we were like
yeah.
stopped at it, because we were
Right.
stopped at a few lights and
Yeah.
just steal everything on the end, but nothing bounced out. I mean, dude, we weren't doing like 65 down the highway. It was probably 35, so we
Right.
hadn't got on the highway yet. But dude, if that guy hadn't caught that, we would have, and all kinds of shit would have flew out the back
Oh
of
my
that
God.
trailer, man. That was pretty wild. I think that might be
That
the
is-
most Spinal Tap moment I've
That's
had.
awesome.
I've had some other ones, but none quite like that.
How about you, Jeff?
I think my most literal Spinal Tap moment was the first time I ever played here in Seattle. We're at this venue called El Corazon. We're opening up for Rotting Christ, and we were trying to find the stage, like from the backstage. There's like an upstairs, and it's like a maze in the back. And I literally did a like, you get like, all right, let's walk. You grab your guitar, oh, cool.
Yes.
Let's drop out on the stage. And I walked into like a fucking kitchen where people were like cranking out food. It was just like, oh my god, oh, it's real, isn't it?
It's real.
Nice.
I've had
Hello,
a bunch of-
kitchen.
Every silly gear mishap possible has happened at like, sometimes the worst part of the show, or like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess the main one of those that comes to mind is I joined Warbringer and I had 2 rehearsals, and then my first show was like a festival in Sweden, and it was like, oh shit. And I'd never done like the big festival stage before. I'm like, all right, I got this. And immediately I sit my pedal board down and I'm like, my cables aren't nearly long enough. It doesn't even reach nearly back to the amp. I'm like, oh no. And I plug it in, and I'd never plugged in my shit in Europe before. And one of my pedals literally just had like a little cartoon puff of smoke come out of it.
Oh my god.
Just like, I was just like, well, no lead boost. Like, you're gone.
Oh shit.
It was just like, well, here we go.
Day one.
But I've had stuff where, like, one time, Mantic Ritual, back when we were still Meltdown, we're playing some really ratty punk venue in Pittsburgh called Mr. Roboto. And the singer and I would always, like, lean into each other all 80s style to play this riff. It was the end of the set, and he had noticed, hey, like, the polarity thing you see in old movies, how old stuff has switches that go up and down, and it's because the polarity of the circuit might be different, and you can get fucking electrocuted if you don't match it right. So it used to be the crew would flip the switch and then tap the mic and be like, okay. So Dan kept being like, dude, the mic is zapping my lips. And I'm like, weird, it's not happening to me, which should have made me think I shouldn't touch Dan. But at the end of the set, we're covered in sweat and we make full arm contact. And it felt like somebody just socked me in the face. Like, it was the hardest electric shock I've ever had. And I just like come to, still chugging that fucking 8th note in the middle of One by One, like leaning against the wall, and we're just staring at each other like, what the fuck was that?
Oh shit, that's
Nice.
amazing.
Yeah,
My
that was a
old
good one.
my old amp had that same thing. I had a Vox Buckingham, and it had one of those switches because there was a couple shows where I was getting fried.
Mhm.
And I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Mhm.
And of course they didn't have any screens on it. So, but then I said, oh, okay, you flip the switch and I'm not going to die and get electrocuted. So,
Yeah.
okay, that's
scary
nice.
stuff.
Yeah, that's nice. Excellent. Those are all good stories, man. It's nice to know that no matter what the scenario, situation, the band, there's always something that can get fucked up.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
No, I like that.
This is Doug Helvering, and you have been listening to Heavy Metal Horror, the best podcast that you've never heard before.